Well, hello again folks, and I hope you're all still keeping well out there. Yep, back out after the hooded crows this morning. This particular farm you may recognise from some of the other videos, and I've had good days and bad days on this bit of ground. But the farmer is yet again once in the full swing of lambing. So I thought I'd come this morning and have a go at the hooded crows. And you can probably hear the geese flying overhead while I set the dead rabbit I brought with me out as bait. Now, I have had the odd comment in the past asking me, why shoot the hooded crows? What harm could they actually be doing? Well, yes, they have a reputation for pecking lamb's eyes out, but not only that, they'll attack full-grown sheep, as when these ewes are heavily pregnant, they can get stuck on their back, unable to right themselves onto their feet or even protect themselves, and that's when the hooded crows attack. They'll go for the anus or the eyes, and I've seen this more than once myself, with a ewe stuck on her back, her face all bloodied and one of her eyes pecked out, but still alive. The rifle I'm using this morning is my CZ 527 Varmint centerfire rifle, chambered in 17 Hornet. The ammunition I'm using is my own hand loads, using a 20 grain VMAX bullet. The scope is a Miopta 4-16 by 44 tactical, and the scope cam I have fitted to it is a Tacticam 5.0 and the FTS unit. Oh, and the moderator is a Wildcat Panther in 17 caliber. Now, the morning's drifted on quite a bit by now, and even though they've heard plenty of crows in the background, they haven't showed any real interest. But the farmer thankfully has now finished his rounds, so I decided to set out the dead crow I brought with me as a decoy, as it doesn't really look that realistic when somebody's driving around in a quad in the same field. Another thing that doesn't help the realism of my decoy is when half a field of sheep decide to have a wee sniff round it for some reason. Maybe they caught a whiff of some mint sauce or that, don't know. But thankfully they lose interest before long and move off to sniff something else somewhere else. Finally though, after an undisclosed period of waiting, a crow finally takes an interest in the decoy setup. Unfortunately though, it doesn't want to commit just yet, but instead lands in a nearby tree. But its curiosity finally got the better of it, and it dropped down onto the ground. Though it was anything but happy, but thankfully finally settled again with a second bird. Well, that's the first one down, though it was a long wait to get there. The second bird was quite quick to return, though again it landed up in the tree, probably because it thought it was safe up there. Because I'm using a centerfire this morning, so shots up into trees are a big no-no. it was quickly joined by another bird, before taking a wee flight out over the top of the decoys and back again, but without landing. The other bird, however, hadn't seen the shot, so it had no fear in landing in the field.
Oh, you shouldn't have missed. I missed.
Yeah, I missed. I'm not sure what happened. I think I put the shot a wee bit high over its shoulder. But I decided while the birds were out of sight in the distance somewhere, I would quickly nip out and take my decoy bird and set it over the top of the bird I just shot to make it look as if they were fighting, to try and rile the birds back up again. And it worked. It worked so well that this bird dropped in without making a sound. And I had only just got back into the hide again, so I wasn't expecting anything to appear so quickly. It really caught me off guard badly, as I was messing about with my phone at the time, only to look up and see, flip, there's a crow out there. But you can guess, as soon as I got the rifle onto it, it was away. Oh man, I was really annoyed with myself. But before long, 2 more crows came in, and they were very aggressive and didn't waste any time in the trees but landed straight on the ground. They were very agitated, to say the least, and started hammering the life out of my decoy bird. I actually had to wait for them to settle a bit before I took the shot, as they were moving about so much. I probably should have zoomed the picture in a bit, but I didn't want to miss another opportunity mucking about with the camera. Boy, they really give that decoy a hammering. Well, I didn't miss that one. Looks like the rooks are paying me a wee visit. Now, these birds don't really do the sheep any harm, and in fact the farmer encourages them to nest here, as he says they eat the leather jackets, which is a small grub. It's the larvae to the daddy longlegs that live in the ground and eat the grass roots, which kills the grass, so he likes to see them about the fields. Though I'd say if he had a field of freshly sown barley, things might be different. Things went a little bit quiet after that last shot, so I decided to nip out and set the bird I just shot up as a decoy. Look at those big flat feet go, hey. I could hear a quad in the background, so I suspected that the neighbour was checking his sheep, which possibly was pushing crows my way again, because I was starting to get a steady stream now. Now, I can quite understand why the birds want to attack my decoy, because it's a strange bird to this area, but why this bird wanted to attack its mate, I do not know, unless she was giving him grief for being out in the town all night. Some of the birds were dropping in so quickly now that I wasn't even getting time to reload the magazine properly. Not that I was complaining or anything. I noticed a few magpies up in one of the trees, but they must have been wiser than the hooded crows this time, because they never came down to the ground. I'd shot a good few crows by now, and my confidence was starting to grow, so I started taking the time to zoom the camera in for the shot, hoping that I wouldn't regret it later on. The crows kept coming down, and they seemed a lot more calmer than what they were this morning, so I didn't do anything more with the decoys, as they seemed to be working well just the way they were. I'm honestly not sure what this boy thinks he's doing, but I'm sure there'll be a few interesting comments to read later on about it. Hang on, I've got it. It's the backstroke, isn't it? Well, I hung around for a while after that, but it went pretty quiet after that last shot, so I decided to finally call it quits and go and inspect the damage.
Man, Where do you start here? There's birds strewn all over the place. I don't think I've ever shot as many hooded crows in my life in one morning anyway. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the farmer shot one this morning while he was doing his rounds with the shotgun. That was eyeing up a couple of ewes that had just lambed. But I'd started out this morning with dead rabbit as bait. As you can see here, I've split it open, made it look as if a fox or something had killed it through the night and left it lying after eating its fill. The idea was, once the farmer done his rounds, I would set my decoy bird out, because it doesn't look very realistic when somebody's driving around the field at the same time in a quad. So once he had finished, I set the bird out and I got a hooded crow. Then a second hooded crow landed and I missed it. I'm still kicking myself for missing it. I don't know what I'd done wrong, whether I hurried the shot and put it high over the top of its back. But after that, I took my decoy bird and set it up over the top of the bird I had just shot, make it look as if they're fighting on a little wire cradle that I made. And at this time, the neighbouring farmer, he had started doing his rounds in the quad, so I think he was pushing the hooded crows from his ground over here, because I got a very agitated and territorial pair of hooded crows that landed and started pulling the tripe out of my decoy. And I shot one of them, which was this bird, which I went out and set up on a little wire spike like a decoy. And after that, the birds just kept coming here and there, everywhere. And I just kept shooting them. Thankfully I didn't miss any more after that. But shooting 8 in one morning with a centre fire, that's pretty good by anybody's book, surely. The farmer will be well pleased. So I'll get this lot gathered up and get myself back home and get a second breakfast. Second breakfast.
We'll give the place a wee tidy up before we go, make it look as if we're never there. The farmer doesn't like the hooded crows, but he doesn't want to see them lying dead here, there and everywhere across his fields. Well folks, that's the end of another one. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry that I didn't zoom in for a lot of the shots, but at least we had the little tacticam for the close-in work. The farmer was well chuffed, by the way, and, believe it or not, later that week I had an even better day. But that video will do for another time, sure. Take care and look after yourselves, hey.